Okay, welcome to your video explanation for the economics essay. We're going to go through a little bit of background on this just to make sure that you are caught up, accurately, but also then get to our rubric here so you understand what you will be graded on for this essay. First off, just to give a real quick intro here to make sure that you understand where this is all coming from. When we look at the basis of this entire unit, it comes from a simple thing, and that is scarcity. The fact that we have a limited amount of resources. So we have to figure out how to use those resources. Now we can look at this from a personal, individual perspective, which is known as microeconomics, looking at things on an individual scale, or from macroeconomics, looking on the scale of how countries deal with these things. Now, disregard those two words if they are going to be confusing to you at all. The big idea is this. Since we have a limited amount of stuff for anybody, any size group, no matter how wealthy you are, how are we going to use that stuff? The second level comes with opportunity cost. It's the recognition that we are always going to be giving something up when we make choices given the scarcities that exist. If we choose to spend our money on one thing, we automatically are giving up the ability to spend that money on something else. And that even goes deeper than that, saying, well, by not having that other product, what are the other costs of that? That's opportunity cost. And then third, to get to where we were really focusing on in this unit, it's important to understand this, that when we look at the scarcities that exist and the fact that we have to give something up and there are opportunity costs to our decisions, who should be the one making the final say then on how we are going to use those limited resources? Some countries believe it's up to the government to do that, and they know best. Some countries feel that it's best for the people to make that decision. And that's really where we're at with this. For this unit, we focused more on the American side of looking at things, with the people being the ones making the decisions in what is known as a market-based economy. We'll talk about that a little bit here in the upcoming slide. So this idea of government versus the people, we can really put it into a couple key words. Command, which is when the government is running an economy, also known as a communist economy, is one type. Then on the other end, we have the people running it, which is known as a capitalist or market-based economy. Now, in reality, this does fit on a spectrum. So it can be all along the line, anywhere from over here, let's say, at the far left, to over here at the far right, or as we have here, there you go, my wonderful arrow, right there in the middle. Now, what do we have here in America? Some people think that we're purely capitalist, but that really isn't the case. In a purely capitalist economy, the government would have absolutely no role in the products that we have out in our marketplace. In America, the government does play a role. I'm not going to tell you that I have a specific exact area on here that would fit best, because that's really up to a lot of debate. But nonetheless, the whole point is we still have a market-based economy, but we are not a perfect capitalist system. Not the most important thing in the world, but just something to keep our eyes on and to keep recognizing as we go through this, and especially as you prepare for the end unit here. Now I'm going to take off. There we go. Get rid of our little lines there so this is more clear. Now, when we look at a capitalist or market-based economy, here's some things we need to recognize. It's up to consumers and producers to make decisions. The government is uninvolved in business decisions because business ownership is private. Again, this isn't a pure capitalist economy. Ours is not in America. So we do have a little bit more government involvement than people might desire. If you want to know what I'm alluding to, the reality that the government regulates food and other products, that in itself is not capitalist, because a pure capitalist would think, well, if somebody's going to be selling food that's poisonous, they're naturally going to go out of business because people are going to get sick and die, then they're not going to want the product anymore. Well, in America, we don't buy that. We think we need to protect our people. That's government involvement. So it's not to say that it's bad, but you could obviously argue there are some situations in which we wouldn't want the government to be involved when it currently is, but that's just the way that it is. We'll leave that to go for now. Now, natural pricing comes from supply and demand in America. It's an important idea with our market-based system. So supply and demand, some lessons that we learned about. So that gets you the real basic groundwork here to see what we're looking at. Now, the essay question that we have is this. What does it take to be successful in a market-based economy? Think individual and business success. Now, the scoring for this essay is going to be 10 points. In the red, you're going to see the amount of points it is for each individual portion of the essay as we go through it here. So our content rubric. First, we have part 1, individual success, which is worth a total of 5 points. So each section is going to be worth 5 points. So individual success, 5 points. Where do the 5 points come from? First, defining scarcity and explaining how that causes us to make choices. That's going to be 1. And I put general in parentheses there because I want you to be kind of general with your answer here. I'm not looking for you to give every detail about one specific one. If you want to give an example, that's perfect, but don't spend forever giving every single one. Opportunity cost. That's our second one. That's worth 2 points here. I want you to define this, give a general background on it, then give us an example or two, which would be great. And then third, budgeting money and time. This is where I want you to get really specific. Explain how for you as an individual, in order to be successful in the market-based economy that we have, how are you going to budget your money and time effectively? What are some things that you're going to have to do? I want you to think about the scarcities that exist. I want you to think about the opportunity costs of your decisions. So explain that. That little portion is worth 2 points as well. That gives us a total of 5 for that section. Second, we have the business success. First, and this is going to be worth a total of 5 points. The first portion, which is worth 1 point, is explaining what the primary goal of companies is to do. I've said this many times, and this is what I want you to figure out in your but the hand that begins with a P. Second, we have profitability and supply. I want you to explain a little bit about supply and profitability and how that encourages producers in a market-based economy. Include the law of supply there. So if you were to run a business, because remember we're looking at this from business success, how do you determine what you're going to be providing, and how do you help yourself to be successful? And then lastly, understanding factors affecting demand, including the law of demand. So you need to explain how you can affect, or how you can use the demand of your product, how you can affect that to increase sales, to do other things. What are the big things that are included in this? That's worth another 2 points here for this, which adds up to our 5 points in business success. And when you add the two big sections together, that gives us a total of 10 points for this essay. Now, organizational structure. If you want to push pause and just take a look at this, you can see what I put here. I was just trying to help you to give you a little bit of idea as to how we could organize this. My thought is that it could be 2 paragraphs. One paragraph where you introduce the overall essay, and then you focus on individual success, then you wrap that up and move into a second paragraph on business success. That's how I probably would organize it, but it's up to you, and I'll leave that to you. Now, if you have questions, comments, or concerns, please email me, ask me in class, do whatever. I'm flexible, and well, maybe not that flexible, but you get the point. I'm definitely willing to work with you here, and if you need a little bit more help in an extension too, please let me know, because remember, this is about learning, and I would much rather you take one more day and get a lot more out of it, and make sure that you get these key ideas, because really, if you can understand how to be successful in a market-based economy as an individual and as a business, then that means that we've done pretty well in this unit, since we've only been covering it for a few weeks. Okay, so that's our little video explanation here of this essay. I hope that you guys understood it well, and again, if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, please feel free to contact me either in person or via email.